And we are live again after the Serie A season has come to an end, 2019-20 season. Going back, we never thought it would happen with Italy being the epicenter of the coronavirus. But kudos to everyone who put on a show and who made it possible. Finally, the season came to an end. Unlikely, like all the past years, Juventus winning the league, but just by one single point. If not for Inter Milan, who imploded in between, and Lazio, who went down the cliff, I don't know what would have happened. But yes, Juve have won their ninth title. I have with me Swarnim from Juve India. I have Ajay Menon from AS Roma India, and I have Chintan from AC Milan India. Good to have you guys. And although the Champions League and the Europa League matches are still there, but yeah, let the whole agenda of the episode is to review the Serie A 2019-20 season. But let's talk about Juventus Swarnim post the lockdown. A title win by just a single point. What did you make of the performances post lockdown?
See, I think we all didn't expect the championship to end the way that it did. This was probably the closest title race that I've seen in past 9 years, or even 10 years. When was the last time when Milan won the last time? It wasn't that close either. So, because of this lockdown, I think it creates a big impact on players, especially physically and psychologically. So, I wouldn't look too much into it between in players not performing well. I think yes, I'm happy that we won the title, but I'm happier that we could finish the season. That was the biggest point for me. And again, happy to be champion 9 times in a row.
Ajay, before we go into anything, did you expect that sort of a thing from Juventus, and especially what went? Do you think what went wrong for Maurizio Sarri in post lockdown?
I honestly feel that the table doesn't reveal the whole truth. I think Juve were always in control to win the league. It's just that the other teams couldn't capitalize when Juve slipped up. So although the table reads just 1 point between them, I really don't feel Inter were in the title race even after the lockdown. Actually, Juve had that buffer, and it's just that the last two games Juve lost and the others could make up ground. So table doesn't really tell the whole story. In fact, the 2014-15 season, which was Conte's first season, and Rudy Garcia's 2013-2014, which was actually when Roma went on a 10-match unbeaten run right at the start. That was much closer, but at the end of the season, the table read something else. But coming to your second question of Maurizio Sarri, I think that this season he didn't have the players for him to implement Sarri ball, and I think the Juve board has taken cognizance of that fact. And as you can see, they've already signed Arthur, and I'm sure that he'll get the players that he wants, and it'll be a different Juve next season.
One of the
Swarnim, coming to you. Yeah, yeah. Go on. Yeah. So, Swarnim, coming to you on a couple of questions. Number one, Cristiano Ronaldo with 35 goals, isn't it? 30 plus goals. And who are your top three players for the season? Who are the underachievers and the ones you would will look to be, Juve would look to be putting them out, uh, putting them on the transfer market?
See, for me, the top three players for this season are definitely Dybala. And if I can ignore Cristiano because he's an obvious choice, apart from Cristiano, I'll choose Dybala, Bentancur, and Chesney. And the players, I wouldn't say we were let down by them, but they don't really fit into the system. One of them is obviously Pjanic. I'm sad to see him go. He's a very good player, but once you don't fit into the coach's system, there's no point for a club to pay them salaries. And apart from them, I think I'd like to see Rugani and maybe Kedira of the team if I have to choose three. But
And
this season is going to be a big
yeah,
season.
Swarnim's been Swarnim's been messaging me if Arsenal want Rugani, and I'm not in charge, Swarnim. So, but Chintan, the Yanich and Arthur swap. Uh, who do you think the winners and losers in that deal?
To be honest, I am completely. I don't agree with Swarnim. I think Pjanic was probably one of the weaker links in Juventus lineup. I feel, and I think this swap definitely. I think Juventus are the winners by a mile. I feel because they get someone. Archer is someone who is a great. He's energetic, and I guess Pjanic has a good range. He's a good player, but I guess he's the one with Bentancur coming in really great. I think. Pjanic leaving will not hurt Juventus at all, to be very honest. I feel they're just going to strengthen with Archer coming in. So I don't see. I think he was one of the worst. At least when they played Milan 4 times, I think out of twice, 4 times in 2 games, I think he was the weakest link. I think the reason why Juventus couldn't capitalize, I guess, was him. So I think Juventus should be really happy seeing his back now.
Fair enough, Chintan. Juve, the winners. Ajay, talking about AS Roma and the fact that you all finished fifth, very good post lockdown phase, I would say. How would you rate that performance out of 10? I know everyone's been in a tough spot post the lockdown, and all we wanted to do was to see just football come back. But anyway, as a fan, you always have some sort of thing in your mind. How would you rate that performance? Also, let's talk about the final day of the Serie A season. Juventus won, Roma 3. What did you make of that game as well?
Well, it's always good to beat Juve, but to be fair, it was a dead rubber game. Both teams not playing their full strength squad, so for the neutral, it was definitely not a spectacle that it should have been. But Roma handed out debuts to Calafiori, who had a terrible injury, broke both his legs, tore an ACL, and had a lot of damage. Good to see him on the pitch. Debut for Fusato as well, and the first start for Zaniolo after he got himself injured, ironically against Juve in the return fixture earlier. So it's always good to win. We haven't won in the US stadium, the Allianz Stadium, since they built it. So the last time we won over there was when John Anarisa scored a header in the dying minutes. So more importantly, it's good for the confidence as we head into the European games. So yeah, I mean it was quite enjoyable to see that Zaniolo run where he assisted Perotti. It was magnificent, man. I mean really really great to watch.
If I had to turn my camera, if I had to rotate my camera screen, I would show you the big screen I watched the highlights on, and you'll be delighted with the quality. Also, I see Chintan smiling. I know Chintan. I'm going to come to that one specific game that we all know we want to discuss. But Ajay, like I told Swarnim, I asked Swarnim, your top three players for Roma were players you thought overachieved or underachieved, and the transfer radar as per you, who's going out, who's coming in.
So I think Chris Smalling was really pivotal at the back, and it's sad to see he's already left. The loan spell has elapsed, and he's gone back to Manchester this morning. So that's a major loss because he won't be part of the Europa League games. Apart from that, I think Jordan Veretout had a very good season as well in the center of the park, and along with Diawara, both of them were really good in terms of a tandem double pivot midfield. And up top, I would say, Henrik Mkhitaryan and Edin Dzeko. Edin Dzeko got captaincy in January from Florenzi, and a lot of people really, even Roma fans, some quarters of Romanisti, undervalue Dzeko and his contribution. But I think he's quite pivotal in the sense that he's been playing a different role, and he's obviously got that leadership quality in him. So I think yeah, I maybe I must have said more than three players, but I think overall these were the key players this year for us.
Also, Ajay, 8 points, just 8 points behind the top four spot. Do you think the form towards the end of December and early Jan kind of said, pulled you all back? I mean, you all could have gotten fourth spot if for not for that form, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks because you know that Lazio are going to implode. You know that even Inter are going to drop some points towards the end of the season. So it would have been good because we set out to finish in the top four this year. Missed out by a single place, and yeah, as you just said, that if Juventus said that had some results gone our way, we could have taken Lazio and snuck into fourth place and end the season. Having said that, though, if Napoli win the Champions League and if Roma win the Europa League, then Lazio are going to play in the Europa League. So this is 2020, man. Anything can happen, man.
That reminds me of a certain thing we did this weekend. And Chintan, thank you, Ajay, for that review. Chintan, incredible recovery under Stefano Spioli, and mostly that Zlatan is back. What are your thoughts on the post lockdown? The same question to you: post lockdown Milan game, and that one favorite game of yours that you would like to discuss.
Dude, post lockdown, Milan has been what I've been dying to see for the past decade, I think. Fearless football, shutting opposition out, at least getting rid of, having, getting past comparatively easier teams, which was always a fear. As a Milan fan in the past decade, whenever I see a game, there is always a fear that we might lose it. Doesn't matter who we play. And that has completely changed. And I feel probably the most informed team in all the top four leagues. I think Milan has been terrific, uh, and whenever we've conceded or whenever I always had this thing that okay, we are going to score another goal. It's coming from somewhere, and I think yeah, Ibra effect. Probably you have that winner who pushes you, who drives you forward. And you can see it on the pitch. He's yelling at players that who's misplacing a pass and he's forcing players to run back and get the ball, recover the ball. So massive improvement. I have no idea. To be very honest, it's a surprise for me also. Didn't expect Milan to turn up like this. And of course, especially after the Juventus game, like in that Juventus game, I
Yeah.
think even the most optimistic Milanista like me gave up when we went 2-0 down. I was playing something on my phone. I was like, this is done now. Was waiting for Ronaldo to bang in a few more goals, but surprising turnaround. And it's not the result, to be very honest. 4-2. It's how we still continued playing, how we play. No doubt, Juventus also had a lack of lapse of concentration, but it's how we played. I think that was what was worth seeing in the game.
Correct, Chintan. So, easy peasy question. Top three performers. I mean, your overachievers, underachievers, top three players there. Also, ins and outs, according to you.
Top three is very hard, to be very honest, but if you count the whole season, I think Theo Hernandez has been a revelation for Milan, and he's been amazing. And if you go to see the impact what Zlatan has, I have to put Zlatan in there too. It's a tough call between Rebic and Simeone Kjaer because Kjaer has, like, we've not lost a single game since he's played. Actually, one game we've lost. He's been a rock for us. Underachievers, I think Krunic has been a bit of a disappointment. Don't really see him stick around. Our right side defense, Conti and Calabria, they're not bad, but I don't think they're good enough. Probably they've underachieved a little bit here and there. And I think my biggest concern has been Lucas Villa. He's been he's been actually one biggest uh, like you can say our weakest link. So I see them definitely leaving.
So, Chintan, stay there because we are going to come back to you. And I read a lot of chats on the Calcio group, and there was one comment that said, "Congratulations, Juventus, 9 in a row, but it's not going to be 10 in a row." So it came from Inter Milan, India. And since Swarnim's here, Swarnim, how would you like to address that? Also, the fact that Inter Milan fell 1 point short of the title. What did you make of their season, especially after those massive signings?
See, for me, Inter was the biggest title challenger all along because, like Ajay said, Lazio is a very good team, but they don't have that history. They don't have that. That's something special that makes you win the titles. And coming back to Inter, they have the sort of history with them, and they could have won. But again, I don't think the fault was of the players. It's just Antonio Conte being what he is. He is just Mourinho 2.0, talking too much and doing nothing on the pitch. If you lose, you need to have the balls to take the blame on yourself. And regarding the comment on Calcio India Group, well, we've been listening to that for 9 years, so that's nothing new for us.
I'd like to order some popcorn, but that's too late now. But we're getting to the part where Ajay would love to pour his heart out. And I understand as a fan, you always despise your city rivals, especially when the rivalry is that fierce and intense. And I've seen Ajay post a lot of GIFs. But Ajay, without further ado, let's get your thoughts on Lazio's season, especially post lockdown.
So I just want to tell you that I told you so. Because they do implode. They have a tendency of imploding, and it's great banter between us and them. Especially when I was in the city, it was really great fun bantering them. Yeah, I mean, Lotito was the one who wanted the season to be restarted because he thought that Lazio had a chance, and it would have been really, really funny if it would have played out in that way. But we knew that's not going to happen. And some of the penalties they've got, man. I mean, some of the decisions have been like horrible. I mean, Serie A refereeing should be a different episode, a different podcast. I know, but the kind of decisions that Lazio got, yeah, the kind of penalties that they won, especially after the lockdown, was really crazy. So, yeah, as I told you, it's sad that we couldn't take advantage of their slip ups and beat them to fourth place.
So Chintan, Ciro Immobile, 36 goals. The last time it happened, I think Gonzalo Higuain scored 36 for Napoli. Uh, your thoughts on that performance in the season? 36 with Cristiano being there and with the penalty rule, etc. Also, Chintan, before we can come to you on Atlanta, anything that you would like to add on Lazio?
I think as Ajay said, even I knew it was about time. To be very honest, I knew they were going to implode. To be honest, I thought the form which dragged them to the fourth place or probably the before pre-lockdown, I was hoping the implosion will start post January. I really thought they might not finish in the top four too. And to be honest, the way we played against them, and it looked like they were probably a game away from imploding. And I guess after that Milan game, they totally imploded. Immobile, as Ajay said, again, horrendous penalties, to be very honest. He's had a couple of misses also. He could have scored more. He missed like many goals in a few games also. He missed the Milan game because of his suspension. Uh, he played well. Again, I'm not a big Immobile fan, but 36 goals is commendable. You can't 12 penalties, 14 penalties. I always say uh, penalties are still difficult to score. It's not easy to tuck in penalties day and night. And Ronaldo, and people do call him Penaldo, they piss him off. But dude, it's not. He's been doing it consistently over the years. And it's not, sometimes, and especially the penalty he got against Juventus for Real Madrid, the pressure, that man is built for it. Ronaldo knows how to handle it. And to score a penalty like that, I don't think it's easy. So great. I think Ronaldo would have caught him if he had a few more games. I think he would have. But yeah, it's great for Serie A when two players are banging in 30 goals.
Yeah, just to
Great,
just to
great, great. And
just
yeah,
just to add over
yeah,
there,
yeah.
Prasad, yeah, what Chintan said is that everyone is making a big deal on penalties, but it's part of the game, and to score them is quite difficult. And yeah, Lazio have had the question is not about Immobile scoring those penalties. The question is about how they've won them, and with VR also it's been like ridiculous the decisions that have gone in favor of Lazio. So had it been a little more tight, I think Ronaldo would have won the golden shoe, won the golden boot and golden shoe eventually.
Okay, so that's three teams we've done, four teams we have done, and we are going to the fifth one, and probably a fan favorite, probably the team that's worked wonders under Gasperini and is touted to reach further in the Champions League this season. The magnificent Atlanta team from the city of Bergamo, and as Ajay and me were speaking, the city that's been hit the worst by this coronavirus is Bergamo, and the way they've played and the way they've responded, Chintan, it's been happening. It's not that it happened; it's a one season wonder. It's been happening again this season, and the way it looks like it's going to be happening next season. What did you make of that fabulous season, by the way?
Actually, it's not just been 2 seasons either. Actually, we got people have been poaching players from them. Milan, especially, we took Conti and Kessie from them, and they didn't sit back. They came back again. Last season was wonderful. To be honest, I really thought they were the actual title contenders, and who would have given Juventus a run for money. Um, because that is a team when you play against them. I was probably Milan were in rich form before after the lockdown, and probably the only team I thought we might not win against was Atlanta. And that game against Juventus, I think that draw, the late penalty, was as good as a victory for Juventus, because had Juventus slipped there and had Atlanta got all 3 points, things would have been different. Of course, a thinner squad, they ran out of gas. They had to. This top four was secured. Champions League in sight. Ilicic and his personal problems. It's hard to keep going. I feel that they were a few more players here and there, and I think they're really in for a big season next season. I think Papu Gomez for me has been one of the players of the season. Absolutely wonderful. And of course you see how Zapata has been playing, his strength, physical strength, their formation. It's absolutely wonderful. To be honest, as a Serie A fan or as a football fan, to be honest, it's very hard not to like Atlanta the way they're playing. And I feel they were the closest contenders. And I've been talking to a few other Juve fans, and Swarnim will agree. And some of them were saying that Juventus didn't win the title, others lost the title, and probably they would have been happier if, or they would have been okay if Atlanta would have won it. And that game probably was, I feel Juventus Atlanta was the biggest game, and that draw, and that is what Juventus is, right? Juventus, they don't play well, but they dig in and they get a result, and that's been, as he said, it's been happening for 9 years. It's going. I feel it's going to happen for the 10th year again. Maybe Roma and Milan can do something, and I don't see us challenging next season at least. I I think Inter are already started imploding before the season starts.
I'm kind of rooting for Roma and Milan to get into the Champions League again on the top four thing, by the way, and it'll always add spice to the mix. I mean, the likes of Atlanta, the likes of, I think, Roma would be dying to push Lazio down the table. And don't get me wrong, I'm not getting Ajay fired up here, but yeah, but overall, I have to personally say this, that I have been. Following Atlanta's tactics. I've been following Atlanta's players, the videos. I've been following Gasperini. I've been doing a lot of research on that, and definitely more and more of the other Serie A clubs as well. That's what I do these days in the lockdown. So Ajay, we there's one question that was in my mind, and this mixed breed of players of in Atlanta through all the European countries. They always manage to get these underrated gems, and then Gasparini turns them into world beaters, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, as Chintan rightly said, that Atalanta were a phenomenon right before, when Gasperini took over. They made it to Europe first. They played the Europa League, and I think they were quite unfortunate to get knocked out against Dortmund back then. Yeah, and from there on, they started selling players. In fact, the Milan Roma game, which was after the lockdown, had six Atlanta players, ex-Atlanta players featuring, three for us, three for Milan. So it's a testament to their scouting system, to their technical director, and Gasparini, of course. That they're able to replace players and add more quality in them. So they're a mix, as you rightly said, mix of unknown talent, mix of eccentric personalities like Papa Gomez, like Ilicic. These are names that we were familiar with. Papa Gomez was quite meteoric with Catania, Ilicic with Palermo, Fiorentina later, and Zapata as well, and even Luis Muriel. So he's taken these bunch of I don't want to use the frame the word misfits, but definitely those players who are not firing up to the potential, and he's made them into world beaters. And I would be very happy if they actually have a deep run in the Champions League, and even if they win it, it would be really great. It's a shame that Ilicic won't be part of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So
like to add something. As you
yeah,
said
yeah, yeah.
about players coming from, he's getting players from. You can see like Ruslan
Yeah,
Malinovsky. He's been a revelation. I think Goslin's, and the way they've been playing, and you never expect, and the way they take on big teams. I think that is more commendable. They don't get bogged down when they play Milan or Roma or Juventus. They go there. We got thrashed 5-0. They thrashed Juventus last season, I think, in Coppa Italia 3-0. So they don't get scared. They don't get bogged down, whatever you are, whoever you are. So I think that will be a big factor when they play PSG.
yeah.
Definitely. So that's five teams. I'm going to wait for Yogesh to come in and join us next time so that we can speak about Napoli. And they are still in the Champions League with facing Barcelona, that 1-1 draw. But Ajay, now let's turn to the Champions League. And then there's one question that I want everyone to ask every one of you all before we wrap this show. So Atlanta again in the Champions League, Juventus in the Champions League, Roma in the Europa League. How far do you see the Serie A clubs progress in the European competitions, and how much?
I think the Serie A clubs can do well. With Juve, they're down by a goal to Lyon, but Lyon haven't played since pandemic broke out. So it could work to Juve's favor because they've been playing friendlies, but they don't have the match fitness that the Juve players have. So I totally expect them to overturn that deficit and go on to the next round. I think that's been the major goal for Agnelli and the UA board, the Champions League. That's the whole reason why they bought Cristiano Ronaldo from Real Madrid. So I expect them to go a long way this year. You never know because they're talking about Man City. They're talking about probably Real coming back. So UA have been slightly under the radar, but it's a kind of stage where Cristiano Ronaldo rebels in, man. I mean, Champions League is his competition, so I think they'll have a deep run. Atalanta, I really hope that they go and win it. It'll be a fairy tale story for Gasparini, but they need to overcome PSG, who themselves would be looking to not bottle it this time. So it's going to be tough for both the teams, but I expect the Serie A teams to do well. As far as Roma and Inter go, Inter have got the favourable side of the draw. I mean, you can potentially see them reaching the final with their quality and the squad that they have. We are gearing up against Monchi Sevilla, so I think the coach is going to take one game at a time. So it'll be really sweet to eliminate Monchi Sevilla. To be honest with you, I'm glad that we found this tactical system. We found a good run of form. So yeah, go no holds barred against Sevilla.
Well, Swarnim, uh, I've heard a lot of these things that since the Serie A has finished just this weekend, the clubs would be more equipped to deal with the pressure in the Champions League because Bayern had a 1 month gap now. And like where I'm coming from. What do you make of that statement? Will the Italian clubs have an advantage going into the Champions League, which is about to happen, the later stages?
See, when you talk about us, Italian league finishing so close to the Champions League, people tend to forget the tiredness that we have. The players in for Serie A have. We've been playing matches for about a month in every 2 or 3 days. It's not easy. Let me tell you, it's not that easy. And especially I think this was the major reason behind all of the big clubs apart from Milan having a sort of a blackout, if I can borrow the phrase from Sarri, in the season. But yes, again, I hope all the Italian clubs do well, and I hope to see all Italian finals in Champions League and in Europa League, which within Inter is well. Let's leave it at that. I don't want
Also,
to have it.
Also, a question
Ramsey's
for you, Swarnim. Ramsey's, how would you rate Ramsey's season at Juventus? Has he performed to expectations?
To be honest, not at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves Juve next season. I like him as a player. I have Arsenal is one of the teams, one of the only teams that I watch in Premier League, and I expected him to have a much bigger impact. But for me, if I have to rate him out of 10, I'll say maximum 2 or 3.
Oh,
To be very honest.
okay. Chintan, let's talk, Chintan and Ajay, let's talk about the relegation battle there that went to the wire. Now, unlike the title that finished in the game week 37, but what did you make of the relegation battle, Chintan? Yes.
I was Genoa has been a big problem for Milan actually for a while. So I was hoping they don't survive this. And we have a soft corner for Lapadula who plays for Lecce. So I was hoping they survive. And the way they were coming back against Parma, I was really hoping they go and score in another goal. But yeah, that this is what football is all about, right? The last day relegation battle, two teams fighting for their lives, and did not expect Genoa to be 3-0 winners actually. Verona have been in pretty good form, decent form actually. You can say the way they've been playing free flowing football. Did not expect them to win 3-0. But yeah, actually, how the pattern has been over the years, Goran Pandev's Genoa has always managed to survive. You know, Sampdoria got relegated in the middle, but Genoa somehow always managed to stay afloat, and they always managed to upset, have an upset. Also, they beat Milan at San Siro, so was absolutely intriguing. And well, the other two were, I think, kind of destined to get relegated. Didn't thought Udinese might be in the mix too, but they've been quite decent since the lockdown, and that win against Juventus had that push, and the way they beat Sassuolo. I think Sassuolo were one of the revelations post lockdown too. The way they've been playing and amazing. So I thought even Sassuolo might be closer to the relegation. Who thought Fiorentina would be there? But then again, I think Lecce ran out of luck, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think the Lecce Genoa battle was quite interesting to watch, and I think as a neutral, everyone was hoping for a Lecce win, and Lecce to miraculously beat the drop because they picked up form towards the end. But Genoa again, they find a way. You have to tip the hat to Hellas Verona, who actually got promoted this year along with Brescia and Lecce, and they finished ninth. They were quite close to European football as well. So those guys had a good season. A bunch of players like Amrabat, like Remani, and both of them have been signed by other clubs. Amrabat is going to Fiorentina, and I think Remani is going to Napoli. So hats off to them because they've really defied the odds. And I think one of the biggest disappointments has to be Cagliari because mid-season, they were up in the top eight, and it looked like they could make a push, but suddenly dropped, and I think they finished 14th in the league, and they've just hired Eusebio Di Francesco. So hopefully he can push them into the top half of the table next season.
So, guys, a wonderful season review episode, and I hope you are excited for the European stages because it's going to be fun. I myself can't wait for that, and I hope the Italian clubs go well ahead in the competitions. But there's one more question before we wrap up. One more question, and you know what that is. Uh, the penalty rule, the penalty rule, the way it was implemented, and do you all want it changed? Of course, I think you all want it. What is your take on that? Let's start with Chintan first, and then go to Swarnim and finish off with Ajay.
First of all, this the whole penalty thing. Not I'm not a professional player, but I like to play as a defender, and it's a sin or a probably a disgrace to be a defender. How do you expect a defender to keep his hands behind all the time? Your hand is in your body and it touches, it's a penalty. I don't understand what are they expecting from a defender. It's a ridiculous rule. I mean, there has to be, you have to give some leniency or probably something to a defender, and you've seen back facing and it touches their hand, the hand is in their body and it's a penalty. I have, it's completely one of the delayed penalties. His back was facing, and there was a penalty, the Calabria penalty, which he got for Ronaldo in the Coppa Italia. How do you expect him to take his hand off his chest? I have no idea. How do you do that? This has to be done. Some to be, I think, the highest number of penalties Serie A has ever seen, and that's just ridiculous. The number of penalties. Immobile scored 14, Ronaldo scored 12, Milan scored 9. That's ridiculous number of penalties. I think I don't remember Milan scoring 9 to 10 penalties in a year, in a season. This is just absolutely ridiculous. And I know you want the game to be a little interesting, but there has to be something. There is VAR, there has to be some intervention. And if there's a dive, like, come on, yeah, there is VAR for it, and you got to do something about it. And I've seen penalty, like, throughout the season, we've seen some penalties being given where a shot has been blocked, and it touches the chest, and then it goes to a hand and it's been given a penalty. That's ridiculous. How do you expect a defender to? And when you keep your hands behind, a defender's movement is slowed down. He won't get the elevation to jump in the air. So what do you expect a defender to do? Just sit there and let the goal be scored? Like, come on, Serie A is supposed to be a league where defenders flourish. It's probably when you get a defender from Serie A, it's by default considered to be a good defender because he's played in one of the most tactical leagues in the world. So what is happening here? I have no idea. And I feel, doesn't matter if Milan wins it or it's against Milan. There are some penalties where I think the last game we got a penalty and I was like, oh wow, how is that a penalty? And okay, I'm not complaining, Milan got it, but something has to be done. This is not right. I feel the rules has to be tweaked, something or the other.
Okay, so coming to Swarnim now.
I completely agree with you on that, Chintan. Absolutely, there has to be there is a need to be there is a need for big reforms in the penalty rules in Serie A, especially. There has to be there needs to be something done. The way that the referee sees the penalties this season has been beyond shameful. I don't have any words for that. And as much as I'm happy that we won, there are a lot of players. I'm not going to take any names. You just touch them, they go over, that they get fouls, they get penalties. No, football is not that. Football is a contact sports, and please let it be like that. That's
Yeah,
all
I
I think.
think just adding to what both Chintan and Swarnim said. I think this comes down to UEFA or FIFA, where they have to bring in some kind of consistency to VAR. They have to bring some consistency to the penalty rule, because I've been seeing that this year the Premier League has got their own interpretation. Bundesliga have their own thing. La Liga have their own thing. Serie A have their own thing, and the European competitions, well, it's a mixture of everything. So there has to be consistency, and this has to come from the authorities, from the bodies that govern the sport. They need to, and yeah, how is diving still existent in the sport with VAR? It's just amazing, and just off topic, you saw the Sheffield United Aston Villa game where the ball went in and goal line technology didn't work. I mean, you have VAR, you can obviously go back and probably cause Bournemouth Premier League status. So it's ridiculous that isolated incidents like that happen. And something that happened to Roma in the Europa League group stage is when the ball hit Smalling's face and the ref gave a handball. So I can imagine, if you can keep your hands behind, where do you keep your face? So yeah, jokes
Yeah,
aside,
yeah, yeah.
jokes
Correct.
aside, there has to be
I got
some
one.
consistency, man. I mean, there has to be some kind of logic that's applied, which is consistent to all the leagues, where UEFA and FIFA govern the rules. It can't be individual. It can't be league-wise. Which is what has been happening, and we've seen that. VAR has been criticized. The penalty rule has been criticized everywhere this season.
I want to add one more thing here. I remember the penalty United versus PSG last season,
Oh
where the
yeah.
penalty was given when that guy was Marquinhos was making a jump, and he just turned his back, he hit his elbow, and Rio Ferdinand, although he was happy that United went through, he had a good suggestion. He said instead of having, uh, you should have an ex-football player into the VAR, okay, in the VAR committee, okay, so he can see and interpret how it's supposed to be, because people sitting in VAR, they just see one thing, it touches the hand, that's a penalty. So he said that, when the VAR is there, when there is VAR over here, people are seeing from behind, okay, there should be ex players involved, or they should be given something, that you can interpret in some way or the other. That was probably one of the most ridiculous penalties, and it can change a club's future. PSG got kicked out. They could have gone on and won it. You never know. Things would have been different completely, So I think it makes sense. You get ex players involved. There is Totti, there is Del Piero, there is Maldini. There's such iconic players who sitting there who are the flag bearers of Serie A. Get them involved. Get them into the VAR thing. And no, come on, that there has to be something done about it.
Fruitful discussion. Hope that the things get implemented. But firstly, congratulations on a wonderful season, and hope we get to see more competition next season. And for Juventus, Roma, and Napoli and Atlanta, for Juventus, Roma, and Atlanta, let's hope they reach further stages in the European competitions. And it's been a fun Serie A episode. I hope the title race becomes more exciting next season, Swarnim, if you understand what I'm saying. And for now, thank you, Chintan, Ajay, and Swarnim for making the Serie A episode and the Serie A podcast as a whole very consistent. So here's your host Prasad signing out with Chintan, Swarnim, and Ajay on this episode of the Pen and Kavi podcast.